Welcome to this episode of Shonen Flop, where we talk about manga and Shonen Jump that didn't make it big. I'm David.
I'm Jordan.
Next week, we'll be covering Vibration Man, if you'd write it.
Oh my god.
It's apparently, it's safe for work. It's safe for work, I promise.
All right.
Be sure to join the discussion in our Discord and submit your 6-word summary. You can find a link to the Discord in our episode description and on our website, shonenflop.com. But this week, we are talking about
Musashi.
Musashi. I don't know why.
Musashi, dude.
Why did I add an R to that word? I don't know. Anyway.
The most generic samurai name of all time.
My brain just inserted the letter R into that. I've had 4 hours of sleep. But anyway,
okay.
Jordan, let us introduce our wonderful guest, John, which is the name I can say. John, thank you so much for joining us today. Do you mind telling the audience a little bit about yourself?
Hi, my name is John. My channel is MercuryFalcon, but I usually just go by John, and that's a little confusing. But yeah, you can find me on YouTube and Twitter at MercuryFalcon. I talk about old anime, big focus on stuff like works of Shotaro Ishinomori and some tokusatsu stuff. But go ahead and check me out if you're interested in that stuff.
I love it. I also want to give a big thank you to Vanarchist for suggesting you as a guest. And so, John, what would you say, in your opinion, is an anime that's I would say 1990s that you feel has aged the best, that maybe not everyone listening has heard of before?
Ashita no Joe is it's such an easy go-to, but it's kind of insane that it is probably the best anime of the 70s, and it's from 1971. The decade just started, and it's right there. So original Ashita no Joe is probably my go-to for something like that.
That's awesome.
I've heard of that. I've never checked it out though.
It's a boxing manga.
Oh, that's the boxing one that Current Logon references, right?
A lot, yes. It references it a lot.
It has a very, Jordan, you've seen a scene from that series.
Is this another thing where Gunbuster is just that tennis manga, but it's about mecha?
With Gurren Lagann, they reference a lot of stuff, but there's scenes the iconic Kamina riding the pig is from Joe.
Oh.
Or even if you've seen two characters punch each other in the face at the same time, that's a reference to Joe.
I think that's also a reference to Rocky.
Ashita no Joe predates Rocky.
Oh shit, Rocky is the Ashita.
Yeah, Rocky
Joe.
was referencing Ashita no Joe, just so you know.
Hell yeah. David, wait, do you not know about the tennis thing?
No, I don't actually. Why don't you tell me about it real quick and we'll dive into the series.
Yeah, so the first Gainax series that got really big is Gunbuster, and essentially what that is they took a tennis anime called
Aim for the Ace.
Aim for the Ace, yeah.
Same director as Ashita no Joe, Osamu Dezaki.
Oh, so they just love this guy.
Oh, Osamu Dezaki's a legendary anime. He created techniques that defined anime.
Oh, wow. But no, so literally the first part of Gunbuster is quite literally copy and paste the first part of Aim for the Ace. It's just instead of playing tennis, they get in giant robots.
That sounds pretty great.
It's 1-to-1.
Yeah, initially Gainax wanted to lean more into comedy, but it was actually Anno, who was a huge fan of Aim for the Ace, that was let's take that story and make it more serious as it goes.
Oh yeah, it does say see also Gunbuster on the Aim for the Ace Wikipedia page.
The actual title of Gunbuster is Aim for the Top. It's a reference to
Aim for the Gunbuster. No. All right, but anyway, we do actually need to talk about this manga, so why don't we get into it? Jordan, when you talk about the author, can you believe this is the heavily abridged version of an abridged version that MaxyBee meant, where I reduced their word count by about 60%, and this is still what you're going to have to read?
Yeah, this guy is...
This is the fucking guy.
This is the guy. He is, extremely prolific and influential. And by the guy, I mean, of course, Hiroshi Motomiya. The amount of people this guy had as assistants is, crazy. And the more notable ones include Yoshihiro Takahashi, who made Silver Fang Shooting Star Gin, which is, of course, the manga where an army of dogs fight evil bear generals on a mountain. That also had as an assistant Buron-sun of Fist of the North Star, Tetsuya Saruwatari of Tough, Masami Kurumada of Saint Seiya, or Knights of the Zodiac for my American friends, like me, who is American, of course. Tatsuya Egawa of Golden Boy, and, some more people, but other works that this guy did besides...
That's what George just gave up.
They do become less people that I'm less aware of as it goes on.
Yeah.
I didn't recognize a lot of these names, so I just figured maybe it's because I'm not hip with it. But Jordan, I totally respect your decision to not say every name.
There's one guy on here who wrote something called Hole in One, and another guy on here who wrote something called King's Fairway. So are those two golf manga?
They probably are two different golf manga.
Wow. Other works that this guy did besides Musashi are Nankai no Taiyo, Otoko Ippiki Gaki Daisho, Golden Boy, which is not the same as the Golden Boy made by the guy who was his assistant, which is, of course, the famous perverted manga where a girl holds a guy's hand and he's like, man, I wish my hand was a penis, which is the only part I know from that series. A series called Ubara Ichidai, Fierce Land of Gold, which initially was made as a biography of Mitsubishi's founder and was revived many times to present the lives of many important Japanese historical figures. I guess much like this series, actually. Series called Salaryman Kintaro, which is apparently his most famous work in the West, which follows a former biker gang leader, Kintaro Yajima, as he tries to fulfill a promise to his late wife and become a salaryman. And finally, in 2025, this guy, who is 78 years old, is still producing manga. He has a series in the works right now called Enma. Hell yeah.
He just won't fucking stop.
He found what he likes and what he's good at, and he does it. And I respect that.
Yeah, it's like how the Artist of Trillionaire game is like 80 years old, which makes sense why his art looks like it's from the 90s.
But yeah, this is Musashi. It ran from January 4th, 1972 to June 2nd, 1972. It replaced Otoko Ippiki Gaki Daisho by Hiroshi Motomiya, this guy, and it went for 21 volumes, massive hit. The series that replaced it was Otoko Ippiki Gaki Daisho by Hiroshi Motomiya. Wait a minute!
What's going on?
What? MaxyBee says it's explained later on. So look forward to that explanation. Series that started at the same time as it were Ore wa Ryu by Yoshimoto Baron, 1 volume, that's a short series, and Rensho Yaro by Mikio Yoshimori, 8 chapters, that's a short series, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about Musashi, which went for 25 weekly chapters, which were put together as 9 chapters in 3 volumes. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's very ambiguous how many chapters this manga was.
Yeah.
I've heard people say this was 25, but like it says 9 in the version I read on Manga Dex.
Yeah. MaxyBee said this could be as many as I think 25 or 27 chapters by modern standards.
It sounds like it was split up into 25 chapters, but when they collected it, they put it into 9 chapters.
Yeah, so some historical context. What they did before like the 80s is they would actually kind of combine chapters into what felt like thematic pieces. And so, Jordan, do you actually know where the practice stopped?
Where?
It stopped with Toriyama and Dragon Ball.
I was going to say Dragon Ball, but it was like...
I don't know if he had true artistic vision or he was like, that's way too much work, dog. Just publish it as I did it. And everyone was like, oh, this seems fine. So they just stopped doing that because Toriyama and Dragon Ball didn't feel like doing that.
I 100% believe that Toriyama was just like, look, dude, just do it while I'm doing it. Like, I 100% believe that because it's very clear, at least after a certain point, that Toriyama was making shit up as he was going.
Yeah. So speaking of making up shit as we go on, let's hear about the plot summary for
Let's do it.
It's the 1500s in Japan during the Warring States period, and a local village boy named Benzo is starting shit with a wandering samurai. Benzo ends up killing him and challenges a kid named Shinichiro to a fight, with the winner gaining control of each other's gang. Benzo arrives at the meeting place with like 3 guys, but Shinichiro brings a massive army and Benzo gets his ass kicked and falls into the river. A few days later, Benzo makes it back to the village, but Shinichiro has left to join his gang up with one of the warlords. He runs into Tae, a girl he's in love with, who says that she'll marry him if he goes off to war and becomes a big general with land and stuff. Benzo immediately finds the nearest army, the West Army, and declares he's going to join them. Meanwhile, Shinichiro meets with the warlord. He brought with him a priest named Suden, who tells the warlord that Tokugawa, the East King, is absolutely going to win. And since I've heard of Tokugawa, he's probably right. This makes the warlord defect to the East and take Shinichiro as his protege. Popcorn Jordan.
At a battlefield called Sekigahara, Benzo's army is destroyed. He tries to escape, but is cornered by a group of enemy soldiers made up of guys from his hometown. They taunt him but let him go out of pity, and Benzo finally makes his way back to his home village. There he finds Shinichiro about to marry Tei, so he goes crazy and kills him, as well as everyone else in the room except for her. Benzo is pursued and captured by Toki, a ninja who is Suden's follower, and he's taken back and tied to a tree. Suden frees him and takes him to a nearby shack, hands him a wooden sword and tells him to train. 2 years go by, and Suden comes back to find Benzo still training. He gives him a kimono and makes him change his name to Miyamoto Musashi title drop. He brings Musashi to the local ruler to duel. If he wins, he's absolved of his crimes, and if he loses, I mean, it's a duel to the death. He
just dies.
So, like, you know, he dies. Tei is there, and she wants him to die, but sadly, Musashi kills the other guy and survives. Later, some villagers plead with a bunch of samurai to help them defeat bandits. One samurai with 2 swords stands up and says not to trust those guys. They pay another group to deal with the bandits, and Musashi tags along. Unfortunately, that group decides to just leave with the advance money, but Musashi goes to fight the bandits. The 2 swords guy shows up and kills the other guys anyway. Popcorn David.
Toki shows up and the two of them take on the bandit stronghold. After Musashi kills a bunch of dudes, he encounters 2 swords guy and they fight. Musashi kills him, but before dying, he tells Musashi to tell the world how cool 2 swords are, because I guess somehow using 2 swords at the same time needed a PR boost. This whole time, Tei has been following Musashi to get revenge on him, and she ended up being captured by the bandits. Musashi saves her and begs her to marry him, but Tei says she doesn't like him anymore and hates him for killing her husband, which, you know, kind of is a good point.
It's very fair.
Musashi, he's very, like, kind of off, like, what's the big deal about that?
Yeah.
Musashi loses it and he slashes her with his sword. He says he's sorry, but she bites her tongue to kill herself. Fucked up, Musashi then starts having a shitload of duels and just killing boatloads of people and getting famous. Just flipping out and killing people like a ninja. He travels to a new village to challenge its gym leader, head of the gym. Gym leader. But encounters his shitty son instead. The son attacks him and Musashi kills him, causing the leader to duel him. Musashi decapitates him thanks to Toki interfering, which pisses Musashi off. Years later, Musashi has a duel with a guy named Kojiro, who wasn't very relevant to the plot in this manga, but maybe is famous in Japanese history. I don't know. Musashi wins by clubbing him in the head. End of the series.
Yeah.
Wow. What magical twists and turns this took.
Yeah. John, do you want to tell us a little bit about your thoughts on Benzo, aka Musashi?
He's like really shitty, and it's crazy that Motomiya couldn't make like a likable protagonist. When I've gone back after reading this, I did read the first couple chapters of Otoko Ippikigaki Daisho, and like Mankichi, the main character, like is a very likable protagonist who's still like this sort of ruffian character. So like the sort of roots for that character type of the delinquent, but like the chivalrous delinquent were already there, and like Motomiya had like mastered it. So it's weird that like maybe this is him trying to go the opposite way and make like with like the Gekiga movement, you have stuff that's like darker manga. Maybe that's what he was going for, but this was published in Shonen Jump, right?
Yeah.
It just doesn't work for a Jump title.
You also got to remember that, like, I don't know, maybe it has to do with the fact that, like, he felt he really had to, like, stick to the life of Musashi. Like, that character you're talking about is a character that Motomiya, like, created from the ground up, but maybe here he was like, no, I have to stick to how Musashi is portrayed and how Musashi's story goes. So, like, that might have gotten in the way here.
Yeah, it's just very, very strange. Like,
he's such a dick.
Yeah, he's such an asshole. He blames everyone but himself.
He goes beyond being an asshole and kind of just ends up being like a psychopath.
Is he supposed to be like a national hero of Japan or something?
Yeah.
Well, he's like a it's like they have the characters. It's like we like kind of like how we like sort of venerate like the outlaws of the West almost.
Yeah, like kind of like a Jesse James type character where it's like, he's so cool, but also, damn, he killed a lot of people and like was actually not a very good person. But man, he was cool. And yeah, I guess that is kind of how Musashi is.
And then, Jordan, do you want to talk about Toki, the only other character I think worth mentioning in the series?
I guess the only character worth mentioning who doesn't die. Yeah, he's like the ninja who travels around with Musashi. It gave me big. You remember Afro Samurai?
Yeah, I do. That was a great series.
Yeah, it reminded me of like that ninja that was like walking around with Afro Samurai the whole time. I wonder if there's like connective tissue there, you know?
No.
No, of course not.
No.
No, there's no way that a samurai would be based on Miyamoto Musashi. That just doesn't happen.
No.
But yeah, no, he's this ninja guy that follows Musashi around. It's like this weird thing where you think he's doing it to like help him, but Toki's like, actually, you fucking hate living, so I'm here to actually keep you alive so you can keep on suffering.
Yeah.
And then the second you stop being miserable, then I'm gonna fucking kill you.
I was really waiting for that to happen.
Yeah, the series ended too soon.
Yeah, too soon. So anyway, we don't have a third character, so I don't get to talk about anyone. Let's get into why I failed. So I had a lot of issues with the series. This is one where I really don't know if I liked it or not, but it was like, I'll just start with the first one where I honestly felt like the art style I get they were doing, but I really struggled to tell these characters apart. He also kind of tried to draw them somewhat realistically, but stylized. So there was like a limit to how these characters looked. And I noticed like a lot of characters had eye patches, which I think was one of his tricks to make you be able to tell characters apart. Because he also didn't seem to like drawing people's like faces fully. And it was just like, I just had a lot of trouble understanding what was really going on. Like, I didn't even realize a character had died until Jordan told me that was the same character.
Yeah.
Because they redesigned him when he died.
Well, you're talking about Shinichiro or whatever the fuck his name is.
The guy's on the cover art.
That was after a time skip, so he does have like plausible deniability.
Yeah.
They gave him a ponytail. Yeah. No, I mean, of course, the traditional way to tell characters apart in anime and manga is their hairstyle. So it is, when a character's hair changes, it can get kind of confusing.
Mm-hmm. What did you think of the art style, Jordan?
I really liked it. I thought it was like really cool old school art, but it did get confusing sometimes because he used like a lot of very heavy ink strokes, which sometimes just kind of turned into a mess.
Yeah.
You know, like especially when like there's a lot of violence happening, it's just like there's blood everywhere, which also looks cool, but also is kind of what's happening? What's going on in this panel?
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
And you're just like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
And then, John, what was an issue you had with the series?
I think my main issue is that the main character, the main character is very unlikable, but then also it seems to, the amount of time that skips is very weird.
Yeah.
And makes it kind of hard to tell, like, how much did I miss? Like, how much is going on? There's also like the Japanese history lessons in between in certain spots that I was telling myself like, this is kind of boring to me, but like, I guess if you're a Japanese reader and this is already like secondhand knowledge to you, it would probably be like easier to sift through.
Yeah.
That was my thought too.
But then at the same time, I was also like, well, also if I was a kid reading a comic book and they started talking about the Civil War, I'd probably get bored too. So
I think also like this series I feel never really got to having a big plot. It was kind of just like a series of events in this guy's life. Like after Tay dies, it just feels like that's it. That's the plot.
I feel like as soon as they introduced Kojiro, that was when like Motomiya was like, oh, I know this is getting canceled soon, because that's the famous thing about Musashi is that he dueled Kojiro. Like,
oh, that makes so much sense.
The famous Japanese rivals. And so like once they introduce Kojiro, it's kind of like that's like the big duel Musashi is known for. And it's like, okay, so we're just like winding down now.
I fucking knew it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jesse and James on Team Rocket, in Japanese, they're called Kojiro and Musashi.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Oh my God.
I was going to say, if you're following Yaiba now, Kojiro and Musashi are both characters in Yaiba.
I have not read Yaiba, but I've heard good things.
I gotta say that, like, good job on the localization there. I think calling them Jesse and James, considering I literally just brought up Jesse James as like the American equivalent.
I did have that sort of in my mind when I was talking about like
Fucking love it. But that's the problem is like, yeah, it sounds like you really need to understand Japanese culture, which is not the first time we've seen this. And it's like, I don't know how much I can blame it being the fucking autobiography, right?
Yeah.
It's like if you had the autobiography of George Washington, like they never explained this America shit very much. Like this Thomas Jefferson guy shows up and they don't give any context.
He just has wooden teeth? What?
Like, what?
So it's like, I don't know how mad I can be, but I think we've alluded to it as like, this series never really establishes a baseline because it at all times is changing the status quo. So like, I don't really know what the fucking plot of this manga was. There's only one other character who shows up enough that was worth talking about. So you can't really feel like there's any consistency of what you're reading. And it's just like, what? Like, we're just kind of like, it just felt like I was going through the motions reading this manga.
What it feels like is that this entire manga was like a flashback in the middle of another manga. After Tay dies, it's like we're back to like modern day. It's like in Berserk, how it's like you have the Black Swordsman arc and then you have the Golden Age arc. Like, this is like the Golden Age arc.
Yeah. What if we made an anime that was just the Golden Age arc for Berserk? No, that's insane. Who would do that?
Who would do that 5 times?
God, why won't they let him
Can
be?
they do any other arc of Berserk, please?
Yeah, I also think that there was this weird tonal thing where the violence, something I did like about the violence was taken very seriously, but then people die for realistic wounds that like in an action shonen they would shrug off, like getting stabbed in the gut.
Yeah.
But then people are doing stuff like effortlessly cutting trees in half with their katana. So it's like, what is the tone of this series? Is this supposed to be realistic or is it supposed to be like crazy action shonen? Because you can't have it both ways.
I get this sense where like it's not meant to be realistic, but it's unrealistic before shonen had fully established all the crazy unrealistic things that can happen. So it's just like it didn't occur to this guy that, oh, somebody could live if they just got a sword in half of their head.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think that he was trying to go for the realism that like Japanese folktales have, because like a lot of the folktales are, they're based on real people that existed, but they're embellished over time.
Yeah.
And so that's what I kind of got, where it's like it's supposed to be like the sort of embellished folklore of history.
It felt Kurosawa realistic.
I mean, it opens with a Kurosawa. I think it's a Kurosawa reference. The guy throwing the stick.
Huh.
He throws the stick to determine which way.
That is a great scene.
Oh.
Yeah.
I can't believe they stole that scene from Samurai Jack,
I can't believe they stole that scene from Hiroshi Motomiya's Musashi.
I like how the first thing that happens in this whole manga is this dude pissing.
Yeah.
Like, that is the first thing that happens.
It's great. There's actually a lot of famous series that start with someone pissing, right?
Probably. I think so. I can't think of them, but there definitely are.
You got to tell me all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, David, what's your favorite series that starts with somebody pissing?
Oh, Undertale.
Duke Nukem Forever, the famous series.
Looking through a file of his piss files.
The Piss Files.
God, yeah.
The weirdest X-Files parody ever.
Bart, I'm piss.
My favorite Greek myth, Sisyphus. Anyway.
Okay, did you guys had other negatives?
Yeah, it just kind of feels like after a certain point, like nothing really happens.
Yeah, what was the point of the Tay plot? She shows up in like 3 chapters and like they really undersell that he killed her husband.
Yeah.
Like, it's a pretty big deal.
They also oversell how interested she seemed from the beginning, because she didn't seem like as interested as Benzo was into her.
I never felt like she was into Benzo during this series.
No, it seemed like she was telling him, yeah, go off to war and then I'll totally be into you.
You should definitely go kill yourself.
Because he's being unbelievably fucking aggressive.
And then she just kills herself.
Then she just kills herself.
It's just so weird.
What do you say about a manga like Musashi?
Yeah,
What else can you say?
It's just I feel like this conversation is very disjointed because that's how the manga is, where it just keeps giving you snippets of his life with no continuity.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's so weird because this manga felt like it had a bunch of good parts just so haphazardly thrown in there. Like, I'm not surprised to learn that this guy is like a classic mangaka, because that's what it feels like when you're reading it. But like, it's just it really just feels like I'm reading part of a manga. Like I'm just skimming through a manga and reading a chapter here or there, because there really isn't any overarching plot that continues. Like the only overarching plot is just Benzo becoming famous for some reason. I don't know why. He wants salvation.
Yeah.
There you go.
And I want salvation too, so why don't we get into what it did well?
Yeah.
So John, what would you say are some things you actually enjoyed about the series?
I do like the art style.
It really grew on me.
I remember Otoko Ipikigaki Daisho does this thing where it seems to incorporate a bit of a shoujo influence, I'd actually say. It makes the characters look more attractive, and I felt like I saw a bit of that in Musashi, which is really interesting to see, especially considering that this is a Jump manga. Also, considering it's a Jump manga, it's kind of impressive how violent it is. Like,
yeah,
you do have like a conception in your head of what is a Jump manga. And so to see something that goes so hard and be reminded that this is published in Weekly Shonen Jump, that's pretty interesting. I also really thought that Toki was going to turn out to be, if you know, I think his name is Yagyu Jubei.
Mm-hmm.
He's like another famous samurai. He's usually depicted wearing an eye patch is why I thought it was him. He's been in like a lot of anime, Yaiba, as I mentioned earlier, but he's also the main character of Ninja Scroll. So I was really expecting that to turn out to be him. And I think that that's a really interesting character, so I wanted to see that. But alas, it was just some dude, it seems.
Ninja Scroll is, of course, the 90s anime that was famous because it had boobs.
It is a genuinely good anime, though. I'll say that.
I believe you. That's how I knew Ninja Scroll as a kid. Yeah. It was like...
I think that's how a lot of people knew it.
Like, oh, that's the one with tits.
People talked about Akira that way, too, where it's like, oh, Akira, the one that's just, like, super violent. And it's like, well, it's actually, like, a good movie.
It's like, I love how someone on 4chan was like, hey, did you know Code Geass is uncensored on Netflix? And I was like, whoa, hold on. And I was like, damn, it really is. I did not do that. That's a joke. That series is just okay. But Jordan, something you like.
I also really like the art style, and I love this old school classic manga art where, like, it's very cartoony, kind of. Like, you can definitely see some Disney influence, but there's also very clearly influence from genuine old school Japanese art, because Musashi was also an artist. If you look at, like, the art that Musashi did of himself, where he gave himself very tiny hands, or very, very short arms, there's definitely, like, a through line. I always love that when I see it, like with the motion that the characters have. Like, there's this dynamism. You have very like dramatic scenes, like the battlefield that goes on at like Sekigahara. Like, that's intense. I also like, you know, there is something cool about how Benzo is a fucking asshole. Like, how it's just like, it isn't trying to paint him as a good guy.
Yeah.
Like, at one point, a guy just sees him like throwing up and having a nervous breakdown, and he just kills that guy because he doesn't want anybody to see.
He's
him.
like, no one sees me be weak.
But like, you also don't get, at least I didn't feel like I got the message that Benzo was in the right for doing any of these things.
Yeah.
Like, the manga very clearly is like, no, Benzo is kind of a fucking psycho.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's part of the thing is like Shonen Jump, it's so weird. Like, it's really more in the modern era that's become accepted, where you have these very morally great protagonists. So it is cool to see that this dude is mentally unwell. I mean, I don't know how well it was handled, but at least it shows there's a substantial amount of character flaws in what is supposed to be a Shonen Jump protagonist.
Yeah, like the way that he just unconsciously starts like attacks, like loses his mind and attacks Tay, like reminded me of Guts at certain points in Berserk even. There's like a through line there.
Yeah.
And you know, maybe that's not this manga so much as just the character of Miyamoto Musashi.
Yeah. And then I think also in terms of like the art style is great, but it also really has like a cinematic. This is definitely someone trying to recreate a movie on the page. Like, there's that one thing where he's like jumping or something, and it has all these panels transitioning, and I'm like, this is absolutely supposed to feel like you're watching a movie scene in still images. Before, you know, Fujimoto invented that idea in 2015.
He went back in time and showed it to this guy, and yeah, I mean, they did the Kurosawa thing, I'm pretty sure, where like the two samurais like attack each other and then they seem okay, and then the next panel one of them bleeds to death.
Yeah. It's just cool. I mean, like, the violence being realistic is just a really nice detail. Like, they are dying from, again, wounds that would have been shrugged up in less serious series.
Yeah. It's always interesting in manga like this, like, you see the mechanics of war and nation building in a way that, like, you don't see in a lot of other things. Mm-hmm. Like, in most things I've seen, it's just like, oh, this guy showed up and, like, now he has an army and stuff like that. But in this one, it's like, no, you see him. He is in the village, and he's gathering his village together. He's walking over there, and he's pledging these guys to this warlord, and now he's a big guy in the army. And now, no, these are villagers and they're fighting other villagers. Like, it's interesting how it makes it feel more real.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, more personal.
Yeah. I mean, it's an autobiography, so I think that's like the point. Autobiography finger quotes.
Yeah. You know, that how, who knows how realistic it is.
And then, John, do you feel like there's any positives you haven't had a chance to talk about yet?
I mean, it doesn't overstay its welcome. It definitely can.
This really ran as long as it really could have.
And yeah, and like I said, I strongly believe that once the introduction of Kojiro is very much him being like, okay, I am aware I have to end this now, so I'm going to introduce this character, and this is going to be the final arc.
Yeah. I guess part of the magic of it being so disjointed is he can wrap up the series in a way that doesn't feel very forced.
And then just put text that says, and Miyamoto Musashi went on to fight many more battles.
But he'd never lose, except for the one we saw him lose in this manga. Oh, anyway.
Well, he wasn't Musashi yet. He was still Benzo.
Okay, fair enough. All right, let's get into where it could have gone.
Yeah.
Jordan, what would you have done differently?
So, I mean, this one's a little tricky because, like, since it is a biography, it's like, I mean, you can't really, like, if Miyamoto Musashi didn't do anything, I'm pretty sure Miyamoto Musashi did some more things. I think he kind of has, like, a famous life. Almost like there's an extremely famous manga that's been going on for a very long time, maybe called Vagabond or something. I don't know. Yeah, I would have liked to have seen him develop that rivalry. Like, maybe it could have been a flashback. Like, we could have started the series with him going after Kojiro, and then there's a backlash to when he was a kid, and then we see it gradually show him grow up to be an adult and fight Kojiro, like, in person, in present time, quote unquote present time, as in the 1500s.
Yeah, I think that's a cool idea. What do you think, John?
If I was in charge of it, I would have made him louder, angrier, and given him access to a time machine.
God. Because he already has 2 swords, which is the most natural thing to have done to make him even cooler.
And whenever he's not on screen, everyone should be asking, where's Musashi?
Son of a bitch.
He's in the future.
I don't know if you guys know, there's a novel called Makai Tensho, and the plot is that a sorcerer resurrects a bunch of famous Japanese swordsmen from throughout history and sort of forms an army, and it's about like them having to fight. And a lot of shonen manga obviously draw influence from it. I kind of wish it went something more like that. I would have loved to have seen Musashi just fighting, like he fights the one at the end when it's over, but like I would have loved to have seen like, oh, who's this new rival that Musashi has to train to fight, and what's their special ability? Also, like, I don't think it's mentioned in this manga. Kojiro's famous because his like sword could extend, and that doesn't happen in this manga. I don't know.
They literally just have a guy be like, oh man, Kojiro, like, he rebelled because his master likes short swords, but he likes really long swords, and that's it. That's what they say.
Yeah. I would have just, not telling him how to make his art, but I would have went more into the mysticism of folklore. I would let's start embellishing for the fun of it.
Give him Ivy's sword from Soul Calibur.
Sure.
And sword whip.
And eye beams.
Yeah. And a laser gun.
Yeah.
And what if you could teleport?
Yeah. And also he's the Punisher.
It also took me a while. God damn it. Also, just have someone explain everything that's fucking going on. I think something that would have been really cool is the whole Benzo losing his mind thing. It just kind of comes out of nowhere, but maybe it would have been cool if they had played into that. Like, I guess he's a real person, so you couldn't be like, oh, it turns out Musashi was schizophrenic the whole time, but that kind of would have been cool. Like, kind of like a fucking Hell's Sacrifice sort of thing where you're diving into his psyche, you're understanding what's making him tick, and just understanding that there was a very real mental cost to his action.
Hell's Sacrifice?
Yeah. What the hell's that name called?
Hell's Paradise?
Hellblade. Sorry. Hellblade's Senua's Sacrifice. I combined the title in my head. Yes, you're right. That Hell's Sacrifice isn't a thing, but almost there. But yeah, that's what I'm thinking is like, make this, like, again, it's a real person. You can't like make him schizophrenic, but you can at least better show his mental state deteriorating over time.
Yeah. He clearly had some kind of PTSD. At least it was very hinted that he did.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he is losing his mind as he falls into the violence. And he is very much like, with the Tay plot line, he desperately wants to stop fighting, but like, he can't. It's too late.
Exactly.
Like, it's honestly, this series mainly just makes me want to read Vagabond.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure that's going to be one of our recs.
Because I haven't read that, but that is supposed to be like this, but great. I read a couple pages of it, and the first thing we see is the battlefield of Sekigahara, and it's interesting because it's like the same scene, it's just better.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Did you guys have any other things for where it could have gone?
No.
All right, then let's get into miscellaneous thoughts. It's so fitting that there was so much like gut punches in the first few chapters that we have someone named John, and that was a cool John, and I wrote Falcon Punch, completely unrelated to you being on this episode. My other question is this edutainment?
I don't know.
It's not good edutainment because, and I don't mean that to just disparage the work. I mean that in that, for me, whenever they started talking about historical stuff, I was like, okay, I'm like tapping out. I'm just like a skimming now. If you're going for edutainment, that stuff should be the interesting part. I should be interested to learn about that. Or you should deliver it in a way that like, oh, wow, that's interesting. I feel like I learned something.
It's edutainment in the same way that Braveheart is edutainment.
Braveheart is extremely inaccurate.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, just making
So
sure.
is probably Musashi.
No.
Mm,
No.
One thing is that, like, so what happens is, when after Musashi is like training for 2 years, like that monk comes back and gives him a kimono. In my head, I'm like, oh, well, he's probably gross. I mean, I'm assuming like after this, he'll probably like bathe or something. And then
No.
I looked it up, and apparently one of the things Musashi is famous for is never bathing.
Good man.
So fucked up.
He is well known for never bathing or cutting his hair.
You know, fucking Napoleon would have loved that.
Yeah.
Anyway, I also wanted to point out a cool fact by Tucker, who says the name Musashi is written with the characters from military, martial / weapon, same characters used in Budo martial arts, plus the character for storehouse. It suggests something like storehouse of knowledge of the martial arts.
Oh.
Yeah. Also, why did people constantly laugh all the time in the series? Like, did you notice they're like, ha ha ha, in like completely like normal dialogue?
They were thinking of funny jokes.
Yeah, so there's like this clip that lives rent-free in my brain from like a really bad anime called Genma Wars. I made a video of it in 2019, but there's this like really short clip from the English dub where a character says like, in other words, you think you have the power of a god? And like anytime someone laughs in this, I heard it in that voice.
Laugh with me. Oh, God, I love that thing where someone said, is Hideo Kojima bisexual? And I said, why? He's like, well, I played Metal Gear Solid.
No, it's Hideo Kojima has a wife? I thought he was gay. What made you think that? Metal Gear Solid? That's the line.
Yeah, it's fucking, I sent you that. I don't know why I fucked up my own meme.
Come on, David. Come on.
All right, do you guys have other miscellaneous thoughts?
No.
That's what I fucking thought. John, you got anything?
No.
Well, you know what?
John is now intimidated.
Yeah, he's too scared. Speaking of fucking legends, let's get into MaxyBee, where MaxyBee has some trivia. The author of this formed Moto Kikaku, no Kikaku means cake in Japanese, as a group of manga artists in the 80s, cooperating with Capcom for 6 games based on Tenchi Kurao. Why can't I fucking not say words today?
Tenchi Kurao.
That's sure. As well as the creation and fleshing out of Strider Hero to the point where they share creative control and licensing of the characters with Capcom. The author is not only the original hitmaker for Weekly Shonen Jump, but also has the distinction of having had the most serializations in the magazine, having 11 series between 1969 Nice and 1987. This record is probably never going to be broken, and I wonder what the record in the last 30 years is. Probably 3 or 4, maybe?
Yeah. Another thing, I don't see it on here, but Otoko Ippikigaki Daisho is the first Shonen Jump anime adaptation, I believe.
Really? That's a great piece of trivia.
Because, yeah, and I actually watched the first, they were done as serials. It wasn't like a traditional TV anime, but I watched the serial and it's interesting because it drastically tones down. The first story in Otoko Ippikigaki Daisho has Mankichi fighting like these escaped convicts who are chucking dynamite at him. So it goes pretty hard.
Hey, that's a great martial art.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Whatever works. But the first episode of the serial, it has all the same characters, but it does not have him. It does not end with him saving a wheelchair girl, fighting escaped convicts, chucking dynamite. So it seems like a
Aw.
drastically toned down version, but it is an adaptation.
Sounds good. And then to keep going, one time he drew a short manga about erectile dysfunction on Pfizer's website to help them sell Viagra.
Oh my god.
Most of today's presentation of Musashi comes from Eiji Yoshikawa's 1935 novel Musashi, which is available in English. Listeners may be familiar with his work as the basis of Takira Inoue of Chameleon Shell fame's legendary depiction of Musashi in a little-known series called Vagabond.
The Takahita Inoue of Chameleon Gel fame made me laugh when I first read this document.
It was fucking someone we were talking about Okubo and they said, oh, the beachy guy. We have fun. I think MaxyBee really chuckles whenever they do that. Where we're like, fucking what's the guy who made Naruto?
Musashi Kishimoto?
Yeah, Kishimoto of Samurai 8 fame.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like Ringo Starr of Thomas the Tank Engine fame. All right, I'll stop going with that. But yeah, Musashi the manga's life is surrounded by challenges, originally intended as a clean break from Motomiya's big hit. Editorial meddling is believed to have doomed it from the start. He ended... Oh, Jordan, you say that word.
Otoko Ippikigaki Daisho?
Otoko Ippikigaki Daisho.
Yes, so this is explaining that weirdness that we talked about at the start.
Oh.
Definitively in 1971 by killing off his main character and writing the end, much like Sherlock Holmes.
You just said the end.
The editor promptly whited out the text, the end, and convinced Motomiya to continue it until the end of the year. This is literally Sherlock Holmes, because didn't Sherlock Holmes die and the author's like, no, I guess he didn't.
That's amazing.
It's funny with Otoko Ippikigaki Daisho too, because he gets a spear, like a bamboo spear in his gut, and it was supposed to be the end, but then like when he was forced to continue it, it's like the next page or like the next chapter, it opens with like, oh no, quick, we got to get him to the hospital, and everyone just gets him to the hospital in time.
And then he survived. He survived on his way to his home planet. Musashi received 3.5 covers during its run, sure, but only its first chapter received color pages, while 3 special Okutoku chapters the editorial had encouraged Motomiya to produce to attract readers and save Musashi received colors lead placement in the magazine and the cover each time. Painting Musashi is a secondary to the work he had already wanted to move on from, hence the weird timeline of how the series both replaced it and replaced it.
And listener, if you listen closely, you may be able to figure out the words that David was trying to say.
Our leader, our readers are well accustomed to my ability to not say Japanese words on this manga review podcast. We really need to cover more serious like Golem Hearts. You might be wondering if Motomiya resented the forced continuation of his cash cow over his passion project biography. What if I told you he refused to let any volumes from his forced continuation be released until Weekly Shonen Jump's 50th anniversary? So yes, he is big mad about it. Unlike most Shonen Jump series, all modern publication licensing of this and Hiroshi's other series are handled by Third Line, a company owned by Motomiya that possesses the rights to several older Jump titles by a variety of authors. It's so interesting. Like Fist of the North Star and Shaman King are other examples, I think, of series that have like weird publishing things where Shaman King isn't even owned by Shueisha anymore, which I think is really interesting.
Oh.
Yeah. Anyway, did you guys have anything else or should we go to Final Verdict?
I'm good to go.
Yeah, I think I am too.
All right. With all that said, let's get into Final Verdict. Tucker says, am I the asshole? Answer, yes. MaxyBee, unglamorous history makes for horrific protagonist. Diego, is this lore accurate? Miyamoto Musashi. Dude Rock's completely inaccurate. Where is the do you know what that
Hallucinate Kingdom? I'm assuming it's a reference to something.
The reference is not hitting me. I'm sorry.
Okay. Let's Google that and see.
It's probably really funny.
Oh, Brave Fencer Musashi reference. Sorry.
There we go. I knew it.
Very good. Hit point. What if Reddit were a samurai? Jacob Tupac, Miyamoto Musashi manages many malicious misdeeds. Jersey Luck, delete Benson Musashi, save Lady Tay. Portal Man, wait a minute. This isn't Vagabond. Spubby, I am strong. Ah! Imagine that.
Is that Piccolo? Is that what he was doing?
Yeah.
Yes, I can win. I feel great.
He's actually doing a benzo.
Oh, I thought it was a Matsu. Remember the Matsu by form? The guy dies while writing.
Right, he does just say, I am strong, doesn't he?
And they just, and then Musashi's all over the place.
Yeah.
Will said strange art, terrible pacing, horribly confusing, and looks like an old European cartoon. And then John, how about you?
Mine was benzo, I hardly knew thee, fart.
You want the fart sound effect?
No, just me saying the word fart is fine.
Okay.
I also want to point out that I think I called the author of Naruto Musashi Kishimoto instead of Masashi Kishimoto.
Oh, well.
I just want to make sure you know I caught that, but we can leave it in.
Okay. Jordan, how about you?
So this is the famous guy.
And then I had two. I'd be curious if either of these are any good. I said Benzo is really just a bozo and wielder of the too many plot style.
Got him.
Ooh, they're both good, actually.
Oh, yeah. I felt very inspired by it.
Yeah.
So here's the question. Is this a flop or not, friends?
Man.
This is definitely not a certified flop.
No, it's...
So is this a C or a B tier, I guess?
So I think that you guys are on a different curve than I am because I feel like you guys probably read a lot of worse manga than I'm used to reading.
Yeah.
Because I was like not feeling this. But like if you guys are like, oh, this is like a B or this is like a C tier.
You have no idea.
You don't know how bad it gets.
Okay.
There's a lot of very bad.
I'll take your word for it. And I'm glad. I want Hiroshi Motomiya to do well. We have a sort of spiritual connection in that we have the same birthday.
Yeah.
What birthday?
June 25th.
Oh, wow. Happy birthday. We just missed it.
Oh.
You guys were invited, but
I think we talked about that, didn't we?
So yeah, this is a flop, but I mean, it's still
not a painful flop.
It's not painful. Like I wanted it to be better.
Yeah.
Because like there are moments where I'm like, oh, this kicks ass. This is awesome. But like, it just doesn't fit all together.
Yeah, I've actually, like, on my, 8-hour flight, I brought my Steam Deck, and then I didn't touch it because I just read manga the whole time, so I have, 3 different manga I kind of just caught up on my flight. So I'm just going to go in order of how unrelated they are to this topic, where the first one is everyone should be reading Chuck Beans. Have you guys heard about Chuck Beans?
No.
Okay, so it is by the creator, Jordan, of one of my favorite cancel manga, Service Wars.
Oh, hell yeah.
Where it's a Doraemon parody, where this guy is a bean-shaped robot, said he's from the future trying to help this average boy, but the boy doesn't trust him and makes him live under a bridge because he refuses to let him inside of his house. And it's just, that's really the tone of the series.
Oh my god.
So it's
probably
just
good.
really fucking stupid. I love it though. My next recommendation is Ichi the Witch is actually very good and people should read that. Shout out to being one of the only manga I've ever read that colors black people's hands correctly, which is actually, once you keep an eye out for it, super rare. And I see why though the author has her constantly wearing gloves, because I have to admit it is kind of a pain in the ass that you have to two-tone her hands like that. But I do appreciate that when her hands are non-gloves, that's actually colored right. And then right now I'm almost caught up with Gachi Kuta, which is super good. Highly recommend it. Brilliant art. I can't believe they just made this one panel just a reference to a fucking meme, and it's got a great action scene. If you love Soul Eater, it's by pretty much the successor of Okubo, which is why we were talking about him in the Shonen Flop Discord, and I brought him up earlier. But yeah, those are the three things I've been reading right now and caught up on that people should check out. So 2 action shonen manga and then a shit post-comedy manga about a bean robot. How about you, Jordan?
Yeah, check out this little-known TV show called Samurai Jack.
Watch out.
Fucking cool.
That's a
show.
great... Oh, yeah, that was my other idea for the cover art was Samurai Jack.
You know, it's not Samurai Jack, but it's Gendy Tarkovsky. I watched a bit of the Clone Wars cartoon again recently. That shit holds up.
It does.
That's the best thing to come out of the prequels. And I know I'm right when I say that. It's just, man.
It's a shame it's not canon anymore.
Ugh, it sucks so much.
All right. And then, John, how about you?
I'm going to lean into flop, and I'm really into Yaiba right now. The anime's airing. I would definitely check that out if you want to see some better action that involves Musashi Miyamoto.
Oh.
Sounds good to me. All right. And Jordan, I don't think this is the worst series we talked about.
No, not even remotely. This is not Zan or the pedophile manga.
Yeah, pedophile middle school.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into wrap up. So, John, I'm going to say thank you so much for coming on the show. Where can people get more of you in their lives?
I'm appearing on podcasts all over the internet.
Hell yeah.
My YouTube channel is MercuryFalcon, all one word. I'm actually working on a video I'm hoping to get out at the end of this week on the hit Guy Slugger. I know, overdone topic, the 1977 beloved Guy Slugger.
Oh, I've definitely
That's just
heard
a
of
great
that.
title.
You know, another Guy Slugger video, that's what they're thinking, but like, hey,
Someone's got to do it.
someone got to get that AdSense money, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to be coming out with that, and then I'm also
Don't hate the player, hate the game.
on Twitter at MercuryFalcon. Check me out.
I love it. All right, and then Jordan, I want to say props for making the opening and ending theme, being a great co-host, and helping with the editing.
Thank you, David, for putting the show together, doing editing, and, doing a lot of other stuff.
Paying all the expenses of the show out of pocket.
Yeah, exactly. Doing basically everything else having to do with the show. Like,
Damn right.
it's a lot of stuff, okay? Like,
I try.
I appreciate it.
I also want to say props to Merliel for the awesome cover art. You can find her online at Lyle Mer, and Nigel for being our generous art benefactor. I just hung out with Nigel, it'll be in like 3 days, but I'm going to, and that'll be awesome. I love the guy. Thank you, Dylan, for assistance with editing. You can find his podcast, Anime Out of Context, at animeoutofcontext.com. Thanks to Tucker and MaxyBee for assistance with pronunciation, translation, other miscellaneous research. Find us on Blue Sky /X at Shonen Flop, Tumblr Shonen-Flop, and our website ShonenFlop.com. We're on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, wherever else you get your podcast. And come join the Shonen Flop Discord. It's open to everyone. Hang out with us, talk about anime, games, whatever else is on your mind. We have a manga book club and movie nights. Find a link to it in the show notes or on our site, ShonenFlop.com. We've been doing a ton of retro shit, John, by the way. So next they're going to be reading Level E. So that'll be a fun throwback.
Yeah.
I've only seen one episode of the anime.
We had to watch 3. Remember that, Jordan?
Yeah, we did.
But yeah, and then anything else you want to toss in there, Jordan? You want to talk about Mission Ignition, how much you love your girlfriend?
Yeah, exactly. I love my girlfriend, Steph, very much. Thank you so much. And check out my podcast, Mission Ignition. Don't expect an update anytime soon.
Why do you plug it every episode when you don't actually release episodes?
Because people I want people to listen to it still.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it still exists.
I don't know about all that.
Also, check out my art. I'm on Instagram, Jordan Forbes Art, if you want to see my oil paintings and stuff.
Sounds good. I also say I love my wonderful wife, Rachel. She was the best. We had a wonderful time in Greece, and she convinced me to take a 45-minute train from the Roma airport to get pizza and come back in 98-degree weather, and it was worth it. I also love my little puppuccino dog, Ravioli. She was so excited to see us back, she couldn't fall asleep.
Aww.
Thank you so much for joining us. Tune in next Monday as we give our first thoughts on Vibration Man. This has been David.
This has been Jordan.
This has been John.
You've been listening to Shonen Flop.
Keep up flopping floppers.
Yeah.